Okay.
You ready? All right, we will call the August 14th, 2023 Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Roll call: Supervisor Lewis.
Present.
Supervisor Day.
Here.
Supervisor Ayers.
Here.
Supervisor Lyons.
Here.
And Supervisor McDaniel's here as well. We will now have a prayer for the board followed by a pledge of allegiance. Those attending are not required to participate. If you'd like to join us, please stand.
Lord, we thank you for giving us this day and time that we can come and meet together and conduct the business for the county. Guide us in the decisions that we make, for we know that if they are pleasing to you, they are right for us. Forgive us our sins. Thank you for the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Thank you for hearing and answering my prayer. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. We will hold citizen comments near the beginning of the meeting. We will do our best to take citizen comments remotely. There are two options for citizens to offer comment. To join by telephone, you may dial into the number listed on the county website. The webinar ID and password are there for your convenience. Citizens wishing to simply view the meeting live or after the fact can do so on the Rockbridge County Board of Supervisors YouTube channel, also available on the county website. If you wish to make a citizen comment as a Zoom meeting participant, you will use the raise your hand feature. You can press the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom window or press *9 if you're calling in by telephone. Are there any changes to the agenda tonight?
No, sir.
Any recognitions or presentations? All right, citizen comments. Anyone signed up wishing to address the board?
Yes, sir. We have Mr. Scott Miller.
Please come forward to the podium, state your name, magisterial district, and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
So I have some information packets for each member of the board. May I present?
Sure, if you'll give them to, yeah, so make sure we all get them. Thank you. You may go ahead with your comments, please.
My name is Scott Miller. I'm from the Natural Bridge District, and I'm here to bring some things to your attention that I think are both important and relevant. A criminal investigation was conducted last October. In the packets that you have received, you have court testimony in the court trial that is directly related to October 21st of last year. During the course of that criminal investigation, we had the head of the zoning administration, Mr. Chris Sladen, who was walking around the woods, surveilling and participating in a criminal investigation. The concern that I have as a citizen of the county is this. In what capacity was Mr. Sladen there? The event that was taking place was a trap and skeet event at Quail Ridge Sporting Club. The trap and skeet zoning issue had already been adjudicated all the way to the Supreme Court in 2018 and 2019, therefore making that particular event irrelevant to the zoning administration. He did not approach anyone on Quail Ridge, and this brings up a series of questions that I have as a member of this community, as a member and as a taxpayer. Since when does he have the authority to sneak around the woods, around somebody else's property without ever approaching the landowner directly? In your packet, you have both the calendar of events and you also have court testimony from Special Agent Sladen of the Virginia State Police. And you also have the testimony of one of the neighbors, one of the landowners. Question I have as a citizen is this how our tax money is being spent? Do we have zoning administrators sneaking around the woods? How much taxpayer money has been spent in the prosecution of Quail Ridge since 2018? I know that it's been taken to the Supreme Court on 2 different occasions, and both times it was overruled. I only bring this to your attention because I know that the Board of Supervisors has direct authority over the zoning administration. And I would respectfully ask that you review everything that I've provided. My phone number is listed on the sign-up sheet. I can provide more court documentation if necessary. I want to thank you all for your time tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Is anyone else signed up wishing to address the board?
No, sir.
Is there anyone online wishing to address the board?
Don't see anyone with their hand up.
Anyone present didn't have the opportunity to sign up wishing to address the board? Please step forward to the podium, state your name, ask your district, and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
And I did just have a hand pop up.
You want to take a wave before you take me?
Go right ahead.
Good evening, I'm Jean Clark. I am in the Cars Creek District. And I've been before you, usually just asking for money or telling you how I've spent your money. But tonight I'm here on a different note. Like all of us in this room, we're public servants and I take that seriously. And when you're a public servant, you do your best to do the job that you're required to do the fairest way you possibly can. And I just want to say that my experience with Chris Slayton has never been anything but exemplary. And he's a fine public servant. He does things above and beyond. He has responded to me after hours 1,000,000 times about questions I've had, either from my professional position or personally. Once it was about a sign for our church, and he rode out on a Friday night to take a look at where we could place a sign. So I just would like to say, we all have things that we like and we don't like, but I think you've got to find public servant in Chris Slayton. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. You want to go back to the
Uh,
online?
yes, Martha Hust. And Ms. Hust, you should be able to speak.
Okay, can you hear me? Hello,
Ms. Houston, are you able to speak?
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
She's speaking, but we're not hearing you, Ms. Hughes.
Can you hear me? Hello,
Apparently her
Hello?
microphone isn't working.
well, it's supposed to be on.
Ms. Houston, I'm sorry, we're not able to hear you. If you would like to contact the county administrator and relay your thoughts, he'll be sure to pass along to the full board.
Okay,
All right, at this point, we'll close citizen comments. Next up, we have approval of the July 24th, 2023 minutes. So everyone had a chance to review those. Any questions, concerns, comments? All right, is there a motion to approve? So move. And a second?
Second.
All right. Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
And Chair votes yes as well. Next up, we have consideration of the school appropriation. Mr. Harrison?
Yes, the total school appropriations for this period amounts to $539,778. Of that, new grants total $116,625. Carryover from FY '23 amounts to $288,153. And the CIP project for the transportation office of $135,000. That's all.
All right, any questions for Mr. Harrison? Is there a motion to approve? And a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
And Chair votes yes as well. Next up, we have consideration of the county financial package. Mr. Harrison?
Yes, the total amount of bills for this period is $1,228,719.56. Additional appropriations are $401,746. Those are all carryovers again from FY '23. The majority of that is for the Murat Collection Center, and thank you again for Mr. McDaniel for catching that during the budget process. Our revenue and expense report as of July. Our revenues are at $2,028,628, expenditures at $5,615,466. That's not unusual at this point in the fiscal year. We're right on track, as you can see from the chart that we provide in your board packet. 8% of the fiscal year has passed. Our sales tax is at $341,122, or 8%. Mills tax is at $263,381, or at 10%. And our lodging tax is also right on track, 8%, or $150,797. And that amount is just the 2% that goes into the general fund that's not restricted. Also, we have received our second and final payment of LATCF funds of $105,972.12. The first half with the recommendation at the recommendation of the Finance Committee, that was used for capital. And I'm sure we'll be discussing that with the Finance Committee for using it for capital, since it's only one-time purchases. There's some additional information in your packet related to the bond, which we can talk about during the agenda item. And also with us today is Ms. Travato. She has the tax report to present to the Board of Supervisors. And that's all I have.
Mr. Ryder, please come up. Thank you.
I have here the uncollected tax report and the overall amount owing, which you should have in your packet, is $12,117,869.71. However, that does include the second half, which is not yet due until December. So that second half is at $9,463,612.91. So that only is the greater part of the uncollected amount. Would you have any other questions as to the rest of the report, where it's showing any other of the numbers for PTR or anything like that?
How does that compare to previous years? Is it about the same?
It's roughly the same. We're a little bit higher on the uncollected, but then again, the rate changes and the assessment changes all of the time. So in comparison, it's fairly along the lines of where we are this time of year.
One of the attachments, I believe, is a 5-year trend analysis. So, any questions for Mr. Travato? All right, thank you so very much.
Would you like this, or you want me to give this to?
Would you just, yeah, Mr. Harrison? Thank you. All right, hearing the report from Mr. Harrison, is there any discussion or questions or comments? Is there a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Ayers?
Yeah.
Mr. Lewis? And Chair votes yes as well. Next up, we have consideration of request to use EMS cost recovery funds. Chief Ramsey?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So as printed in the agenda there, as you are aware, in 2013, the board had labeled a restricted EMS revenue recovery account, restricted account to collect funds from EMS transports that was billed and received from insurance companies. And essentially, we've been doing that for about 10 years now. And as you all are aware, that's for any county taxpayer. Resident doesn't have to pay anything out of pocket. We write a good bit off during the year for EMS transports. To date, as we start the beginning of the fiscal year, at the time of when I submitted the agenda, the balance was $1,783,022. I did check today just prior to the meeting, and since that, we are at $1,806,131, and the balance of the revenue recovery funds. Within the county, we have 6 transport agencies that generate the revenue for the restricted account, and that's Glasgow, Fairfield, Carrs Creek, Goshen, and Effinger EMS. And then as of April 1 of this year, thanks to you all, we have added a county ambulance at nighttime from 6P to 6A. And then we have staffing on a combination system that runs on the Glasgow Fairfield ambulance as well as Carrs Creek. For FY24, again, you all voted to honor our budget request to amend the process of how we've been doing it for the last several years. And this year, we still will take the medical director fees out of the revenue recovery funds, the quick med claims, which that's our third party billing company, and then the fees for the paper call stipend program for our volunteers. That will come out of that. And then in addition to that, 50% will go to 50% of what's left from that will go to the agencies that provide the transport, as you all approved for FY24. And then with that, the projections are to still add about $50,000 into the restricted revenue recovery at the end of this year, after all the bills are paid, essentially, and we expect to gain about $375,000 total for the restricted funds. When this was set up back in 2013, it was under the Fire Rescue Commission to essentially make recommendations to the board at that particular time of best ways, best practices to spend some of this money. Since then, the Fire Rescue Commission has essentially transitioned into one fire rescue association that encompasses the volunteer fire and rescue folks throughout the county. They meet monthly. With the exception of last month, we did not meet last month. But so given that, back in April of this year, the association presented a request to myself, which I then in turn brought it to the Public Safety Committee. President Steve Reese was here as well as we presented it to them, to the committee, to request to buy a CPR assist device, commonly known as a Lucas device. That's the one that makes the recommended device. And what this does, this aids in chest compressions and essentially eliminates the human factor of someone performing chest compressions in a cardiac arrest situation. Initially, a person, an EMS provider, would start chest compressions and then transition to the Lucas device. It's simply a device that wraps around the chest, and it's a mechanical suction cup kind of pump that just constantly provides efficient, safe, and consistent chest compressions to someone in cardiac arrest, which have shown, statistics have shown this is truly a life-saving device as well. In addition to that request, that would be 11 of them, one for each EMS licensed agency throughout the county, to aid in assisting with cardiac arrest incidents that we have, but also to offset the decline of available folks that may be in the area when something like that happens. It typically takes 10 to 12 folks to run a good cardiac arrest call to keep consistent blood flow going throughout the chest. So having one of these available will definitely improve service to our citizens when needed. It's something that we don't really like to think about, but it's unfortunate that it does happen throughout the county. In addition to this request of the 11 chest compression devices or CPR assist devices, the association has asked to use some of the EMS revenue recovery funds for 4 power load systems that would go in the back of the ambulances. And the request for these particular devices would be for Glasgow, an ambulance in Glasgow, Fairfield, Carrs Creek, and then the county ambulance that's run at nighttime. And again, this is due to the lack of folks sometimes to help pick up patients, to reduce back injuries, things like that. The system is made up of a stretcher that is battery operated, which a lot of our agencies already have those. So once you get a patient on the stretcher, you push a button that raises the stretcher up. You wheel it to the ambulance, connect it into this system, and then you push a button, the wheels go up, and you simply push in the back of the ambulance. It saves a lot of lifting and manpower needs for these systems. The reason that we're asking for just these 4, the original request was for 6. The Public Safety Committee did a really great job of answering questions and looking into the request. Simply the other 2, Goshen and Effinger, already have these systems in place this year, with Goshen having a new ambulance and Effinger used some of their for life money to purchase a power load system. So that is the reason for the request of these 4 cots. So the request, if approved, would be a total of $362,961. Again, that's a request to come out of the restricted EMS revenue recovery funds. Essentially, as the agenda, as noted in the agenda, that would leave a balance of $1,420,000, $1,420,061 left. That doesn't count what's in there today that I added up. So, and then that doesn't really take into effect of the potential $50,000 increase back into the restricted funds at the end of this fiscal year. Hopefully I explained that good enough.
Thank you. Is there any questions for Chief Rand?
Just curious, what's the life expectancy of that equipment, especially the CPR equipment?
Yeah, so you can get several years out of them. I would say a good 10 years out of this equipment. Stryker Physio Control is the company that makes this type of equipment. We would maintain that. We use service contracts with them already on the other stuff that we have. So as long as they're maintained, kept charged, the batteries rotated, you can get a long life out of them. They come with great warranties as well, if something were to happen.
I'm all in favor of it. Once we take this step, we should make sure that we know in 10 years we've got to be ready to keep everything current.
And I think I read in here where if something happens that the ambulance is sold or whatever, it can, the power units and all can be.
Yes, sir.
taken
They
off
can be
and put on it.
transferred. They can come out of one ambulance and go right into the new one.
Is there, the Public Safety Committee, y'all have anything you'd like to add to Chief Ramsey's?
Just that well, for me, I can say that we wholeheartedly support this measure. It helps our volunteers and staff do what they need to do for us every day. And it also relieves how many that we might need at any one, as you very well pointed out.
This fund is from the Revenue Recovery Fund, so it's not tax dollars funds. It's certainly requested by the association, and I think it's a way that we show that we support our volunteers and career staff here doing their job.
That is a good point, so everybody understands the money. This fund is money that these same agencies have helped build over the course of many years, and it's their recommendation of how we can help them do a better job. So fully support.
That association includes the fire departments as well.
Excuse me, yes. Of course.
Just to be clear, I always like for them
Yes,
to get,
thank you.
they're very involved in the calls as well
Yes.
to generate their revenue. I'd also like to thank the Goshen and Effinger departments for having the forethought to already have this equipment and not necessarily need this. So we thank them for their forward thinking.
If there's no other questions, is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Yes.
A second?
Yes, I'll say.
All right. Ms. Ayers,
Yes.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Lyons.
Yes.
And Chair votes yes as well.
Thank you all.
Hey, Chief Rams, before you leave, I did have one question, not around that, but where you talk about, and I know we talked about this back during budget season, the remaining cost share would be split between the owner of the ambulance and the staff
Correct.
that is on there. But has there been any discussion at the Fire Association or Commission about what happens if you have perhaps a driver from another department? And if that department will be compensated in any way?
We have not had that discussion. Not recently, back when the question was brought up, I think the way it was left is similar to what Glasgow Fire was doing, is that would be up to the fire department if they come out with agreement with the rescue squad. I'm not sure how that was going, but that's something certainly that we can have that discussion as well.
I know a lot of times, our fire departments help either with a driver or lifting assistance or different things like that. So
Oh, absolutely.
just
we do. Yes, sir.
making sure that they're compensated as well.
And
Thank
that's
you.
something that we can look at in future budget process as well.
Okay, next up, we have consideration and schedule of public hearing of the VPSA bond for Rockbridge Innovation Center. I believe that's Mr. Harris.
Yes, at the August 8th, 2023 meeting of the Rockbridge County School Board, they passed a resolution requesting the Board of Supervisors to seek funding for the Rockbridge Innovation Center project for the 2023 fall bond pool. To schedule, the Board of Supervisors need to conduct a public hearing. We are requesting the board to stay on schedule to set that public hearing to consider the bond issuance at your September 11th, 2023 meeting. If approved, working with our bond attorney, Mr. Laurel and Ms. Huffman, we'll take care of advertising legally appropriate advertisement, both in our local paper and a daily paper. In your packet, just to in case you were to get any questions on bond amounts and everything, Mr. Laurel, as we have talked about before, tries to draft bond language to give governing bodies the most flexibility as possible. Much like your budgets and your public hearings around budgets, you can always drop off items, but you can't add to it after the public hearing. And so if we're looking at the bond amount proposed, that is the worst, not necessarily a worst case scenario, but the of a 10% discount bond. In your packet, Davenport has provided a very well done explanation of premium and discount bonds and how that plans out over 30 years. Typically, the VPSA bonds do sell at the premium, but the resolution takes into account what would happen if it sold at a 10% discount. But either case scenario, it would be it fits within our debt payment schedule, our annual payment, as previously presented by Davenport. So we also, it is our understanding as both staff and Davenport and bond counsel that there's intent by the board to cash fund the contingency, both by the county and the Lexington City Council. Those type of items, again, they want to give you that flexibility And you can always, after the budget hearing, if approved, go forward, those items can come off. And they're just preserving the maximum amount of flexibility to the board.
If I may, I just wanted to, the document that Mr. Harrison's referencing on as far as the Davenport document, that's actually contained. It's not in this agenda item. It's contained in your financial report. It's just in the.
And do you have questions?
Any questions from Mr. Harris? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve or schedule the public hearing, I guess?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
And Chair votes yes as well. And that will be on September the 11th.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody have an opportunity to review the staff reports. Any questions, concerns, comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Day,
Yes.
Mr. Lyons.
Yes.
Ms. Ayers, Mr. Lewis.
Aye.
Chair votes yes as well. Any board comments for tonight?
I would like to make a tourism announcement. Most of you have probably heard, excuse me, that Jean Clark is retiring after 37 years of incredibly wonderful, great work for the county. We're very, very sad to have her go, but of course, we certainly understand she's got life after retirement. And just wanted to let you all know, I've actually had it here, but in general, by the 18th, we should have the notice, the position advertised, and we hope by the end of September that will start to be, people will be interviewed, and I think that we're looking to fill that position by the middle of October. There'll be no interim yet. The staff will take over those positions, and Jean is very flexible about, of course, the firm date of her retirement, but she hopes to be retired in a few weeks. So.
Mr. Lyons, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Lewis?
I guess I should report from the MSA front, at the wastewater treatment plant, there's been some study going to upgrade the electrical gear and the switch gear. So that is currently proceeding this week, which is exciting as it's not the 70s anymore. We probably shouldn't be using some of that stuff. So it's a project that's been long planned, and we have had to have rental generators brought on site to allow, the disconnection of the normal gear to get that upgraded. So it's a small project in some of the ways to describe, but obviously a very important one. Something that so far seems to be going well.
Mr. Day, you have anything? Mr. Suter, you have anything?
Could I make just a quick comment?
Sure.
Regarding the citizen comment earlier about Mr. Sladen, as the board knows, Mr. Miller was correct. The board appoints a zoning administrator, but on a day-to-day basis, Mr. Sladen actually reports to me as the director of community development. And I just wanted to share with the board my full faith and confidence in Mr. Sladen. You're not going to find a harder working person that gets put in a lot of very difficult situations and handles them with professionalism and poise. I could not ask for a better team member. And he puts in, with regard to the county getting their bang for the buck, he puts in probably on average more hours than any other employee here, with maybe one other exception. And of course, that's on average. It's not going to stack up to Chief Ramsey's week last week, which I think he was pushing right at 70 hours. So, but anyway, I just wanted to make the board aware. From my perspective as county administrator, I'm proud to have Chris on this team.
We have a joint meeting with the school board scheduled for Wednesday, August 23rd at 5 o'clock at the school board office in Effinger. Just want to remind everybody of that. And as you mentioned, Chief Ramsey, thank you for you and all the agencies who responded to the incident on the river. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the family and the victims there.
And I forgot to recognize the sheriff who just came in, who spent a tremendous amount of time down there as well with his team.
Thank you as well. All right, if there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn
So moved.
and a second?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Lyons,
Yes.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Ms. Ayers,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Aye.
And Chair votes yes as well. Thank everyone for attending. Please be careful on your way home.